My son died because he was left alone after he partied with his girlfriend who abandoned him.
Tony was not crying. I saw no emotion. Tony never came to the wake. She's not innocent. She's guilty of negligence. My husband has to live without his son for this reason.
Well, Bob and Sally are convinced their son's girlfriend, Tony, killed their boy. But Tony is pointing the finger right back at Bob and Sally. She says they are 100% guilty of harming their son.
I believe that Bob and Sally are responsible for the death of my boyfriend, Chris. Chris died because Bob or Sally poisoned Chris. I think that Chris was killed in conspiracy so that Sally could get all of Bob's money. Bob would never have to speak or have anything to do with his ex, who was Chris's mother. Bob was trying to blame me so that no one would point the fingers at him. After Chris died, Bob just lied about everything. He told people I was stealing money and drugs. He even told people that I had gotten Chris into drugs, which is completely false. When I spoke to the detective after Chris died, they told me that he had died of acute fentanyl poisoning. Bob did not want an autopsy done on Chris because he knew that they would find Bob's fentanyl in Chris's system. If Bob gave his fentanyl to Chris and that's why he died, Bob should be responsible for murder. Bob is a deceitful, psychotic ass. I believe that Bob is capable of murder.
It's been over a year since Bob and Sally have seen Tony. Well, she is here today, so I'm going to ask her to join us for this conversation. Tony, come on out. Hi, Tony. Dr. Phil, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Have a seat. All right, Tony, you've been listening to the show so far, so you know the positions that have been taken here. Are you responsible for this young man's death?
Absolutely not.
Did you kill Chris?
No.
Did you know that Chris has overdosed in the bathroom, was on the floor, and failed to tell anyone for 45 minutes because you thought you would get in trouble?
Absolutely not. I didn't even know fentanyl or any drug was involved until 2 months after he died. I had believed he died of a brain aneurysm.
I said they took some leaps in saying you guys were spending too much time together and you were a wedge between them. That's a big jump from that to saying that you murdered this boy. But then, I read here that you say that he killed his son because he hated his ex-wife and wanted revenge. Why do you say that?
Because after Chris died, I learned a lot about the truth. Before Chris died, he had believed so many lies about his mother that came from Bob that were completely false to make Chris completely hate her. And that alone, why would you manipulate your son to hate the most important person in his life? That doesn't make sense to me.
I understand, but I'll say to you what I said to them. That is a quantum leap to therefore he poisoned his son to get back at the woman.
Yeah.
That's a...
I'm sorry, it's so...
Go ahead.
It's so unbelievable that I can't believe that she could sit here lie straight out to myself and to the world.
Okay.
I mean, their bedroom was no more than a foot away from the bathroom. She obviously, she admittedly came down the stairs, asked where Christopher was. He was in the bathroom right next to her, right next to the room that she was in. She eventually came, after telling 3 stories about, where's Christopher? He's in the downstairs bathroom throwing up. She was standing right next to the downstairs bathroom, telling Sally that he was in the downstairs bathroom throwing up. The downstairs bathroom door was wide open. He was not in there. Then I heard Tony say, is he outside working on the car with his father? And Sally said, it's snowing out. What are you talking about? Where is he? She said, I don't know, maybe he went for a walk. As she said that, I started getting up. Sally said, where is Christopher? And I heard Tony say, what if something really bad happened to him? I don't know. Then she told Sally, he's in the bathroom upstairs and I was banging on the door and he won't open it. What should I do? And Sally ran across to the house and started going up the stairs and she called to me. She said, Bob, come up here. And she screamed at me to come up here in panic. So I pushed the door as hard as I could. It flew open and there was my son.
Okay.
Respond to what he's saying.
Yeah, first of all, from the time I walked out of the bathroom when I had that really sick feeling something was wrong, I saw the light was down there. From the matter of the time that I saw that to the time I went down and up into their room to the time that Bob knocked that door one down was probably maybe about 2 minutes. I ran down the stairs, ran up into the room. I said, is Chris in here? They said no. Bob was awake. They said no. And I said, okay, I don't know what's going on. I thought he might be with you. I think he's in the bathroom upstairs. We need to go figure out what's going on. Sally and I ran up to the bathroom. Bob stayed in their bedroom. Sally pounded on the door, Christopher, Christopher. Then us two ran back down up into their room. Bob said, stay here. Sally and I stayed in their bedroom. Bob ran up the stairs, pounded on the door, trying to break it open, and he screamed, call 911. I fell to my knees, started screaming at the top of my lungs, and freaking out. And Sally said, and then I ran up the stairs because I wanted to see what was going on, and Bob goes, get her out of my face. I don't need her freaking out right now. And Sally keeps going, I don't know how Christopher could do this. I don't know how he could do this to his father. Why couldn't he just talk to his father? So immediately...
We have to hear all this ridiculousness.
I know.
It's all a lie.
Dr. Phil, I have something to say.
You weren't
Who is
there.
this?
Next, Tony's father is here and says he is outraged that Bob and Sally have the nerve to blame his daughter.
Who gave Christopher his fentanyl patches, which is a highly addictive drug, and you want to blame my daughter for getting addicted to drugs?
And later...
I haven't
Really?
seen you for 17 months. You didn't show up to the funeral. You didn't show up to the wake.
Why are you
I am not
doing
doing
this to
anything.
me?
You brought this up.
No, yeah.
You made the accusations. That's why we're here today.
I'm angry that Bob and Sally blame my daughter for Chris's death. I believe that Bob and Sally were making a scene, concocting a drug story to pin it on my daughter so that everybody would think it was my daughter. She's on the dean's list. She does not do drugs. She lost a person that she loved very much. We're all hurting. Everyone's hurting in this. I thought Bob wanted to kill Tony. Bob is very vindictive, unpredictable, and a very dangerous man. And I believe that anybody with that frame of mind on a regular basis could kill someone. We fear for our safety coming out to L.A.
Okay, Rick, thank you for joining us. I'm glad you're here. I'm sorry for the topic. I wish we were talking about something else.
I do too, believe me.
But you are outraged that they are accusing her.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then when we start talking about she got him addicted to drugs when Christopher had a bad back, and then he gave Chris fentanyl patches to wear for his bad back.
Is that true?
No, it's not true.
Did he get the fentanyl from you?
No, he didn't. I'm in pain management for an injury that I received back in the late 90s. I've been in pain management since then.
Did he get the fentanyl from you?
No, he didn't.
So how did he get the fentanyl? I saw him wearing patches before he died.
There are tragically so many cases where kids get their parents' medication, whatever it is, and take it unbeknownst to their parents. I don't know whether you knew or didn't know. I'm just saying, did he get this from you?
No, he did not get the medication from me. When you're in pain management, you get 30 days worth of prescriptions. Then you have to order it again. And you don't get any extra. There's no wiggle room for selling or giving or sharing this medication. Now, when I change my patch, I put it in the tin foil that it comes in, and I put it in the garbage, and I collect it in the box. It's a way of my keeping track of my medication. Never in my life did my son ever go near medication. He was a health nut. I had never, ever even thought of my son as being somebody that might manipulate medications of any sort.
Sally just told us earlier that he was partying too much in Wisconsin because of her. And it was all over the internet, party, 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 drink and party, all of that. So it's one or the other. It can't be both.
Well, drinking is different than drugging, in my opinion. I mean, it may lead to drugging, and perhaps it did in my son's case, but...
He did die from an acute fentanyl overdose, right?
Absolutely, he did.
And he was in your house, and you take fentanyl.
Yes.
And he died of an overdose of that drug.
Right. Now,
does that not, I mean, come on.
Of course, that's why I was saying the possibilities of him getting it from me is only if when they were in my room, that they went through my garbage and took it out of the garbage.
I would like to know when we were in your room.
Which is entirely possible,
It is
correct?
absolutely possible.
And those fentanyl patches can be smoked, they can be diluted, they can be all kinds of things after the fact, even used ones that still have the drug residue in them.
Even without the drug residue. I went over this with the coroner last week, and he told me that even without the fentanyl, even if the patch was completely absent of fentanyl, to smoke it is putting a poison in your body that could kill you. It's a phosgene gas or something of that nature.
Right.
So it's a poison either way. My son was not a kind of person who poisoned himself.
Did you give him fentanyl patches earlier for his back pain?
No, and that's what makes it even more absurd. To think that, I mean, one of her allegations is that I was giving my son fentanyl patches for 2 weeks before he came to New York. I was in New York.
It wasn't, no, it wasn't the 2 weeks right before. It was months before he died. And, you know, now, Chris, can I talk, please? You've had a long time to talk.
If there's been any chance of him getting fentanyl on the street, he wouldn't have told me, because I would never have condoned that kind of behavior, and he wouldn't have told me if he did. And he was a child. He was a 19-year-old kid.
He was not a child.
He would never have shared that with me, because
I've got to interrupt you and take a break here, and then I want to hear from you guys. Bob says an APB was issued for him, and riot police showed up at his door the day after his son died. We're going to find out what he was being accused of when we come back.
I was so scared of Bob because Bob is probably the most manipulative person I've ever met in my life. If I had to use one word to describe him, I would say Bob is evil.
And later...
You need to keep quiet, because I'm going to tell you something, young lady.
Pardon me?
You are lying.
First of all, you don't tell me to be quiet. I'll tell you that right now.
I don't care. I don't even know who you are.
You be quiet.
Whatever.
I believe that Bob is very mentally unstable. When 5 of Chris's friends came out from Wisconsin for Chris's funeral, Bob kept calling these kids off of Chris's cell phone. I called Bob back and I told him, quit calling the kids. They're with me. They're safe. He said that he had a gun and that he was going to come after me. And I said, Bob, is that a threat? He hung up. I did call the police and I filed a police report.
Well, Tony's dad, Rick, says Bob made threats on his life, and Tony believes Bob is behind her boyfriend Chris's death. But Bob says he is not a murderer. The real killer is Tony. Do you believe that she killed him intentionally?
I would like to ask Tony, did you wait 45 minutes to get us on purpose to make sure that he was dead?
No. Okay, first of all, if you're home with someone, if you're at a house with someone and they get up to go to the bathroom and they're gone for a little while, you do not assume they are dead. You do not assume they are dead.
You said that he was in the bathroom throwing up, so he's sick, and you didn't stay with him? No, this is what happened. When we got home from dinner, I went in the downstairs bathroom to use the bathroom. When I was opening the door, Chris came in and said, I'm going to be sick. I said, okay, I'm going upstairs. I'm going to get the TV on and get in pajamas. Just come up there when you're done. So I went upstairs into the bedroom. A few minutes later, I heard do. I heard him go upstairs into the bathroom, okay? So I'm watching TV, I'm listening to TV. 10 minutes goes by. I pause the TV. That's when the windows are open. I hear a car outside. That's when I think maybe Chris was out there trying to fix it. And then about 10 minutes later, I texted him. I said, where are you? He didn't respond. I called him. He didn't answer. This is when I opened the bedroom door, saw that the light was on, the bathroom was locked. But I'm not thinking, okay, he had been in there for 40 minutes. That's when I ran down and got you, and we ran back up, and you pounded on the door, Christopher. I'm not lying, so this is going to be he said, she said the whole time if this is how it's going to go. I'm just telling you right now. I don't know what to do.
Tell the story from the beginning.
You need to keep quiet. Because I'm going to tell you something, young lady.
Pardon me?
I am a mother of 5 children. Yeah. And I'm sitting here, and I can look at you face to face. You are lying. You are lying. Tell the story. Tell the truth.
That's exactly, that's been it since day one, Sally.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
First of all, you don't tell me to be quiet. I'll tell you that right now.
I don't care. I don't even know who you are.
You be quiet.
Just chill.
Whatever.
You don't tell me.
Sit out of it. You're not part of this conversation. Okay?
You don't matter at all.
Part of the conversation is you need to be honest with yourself.
I am being honest.
No, you're not.
I am nothing.
No, you're not. You and I never walked over there. Never.
Yes, we did.
No,
we ran up the stairs.
No,
you pounded on Christopher. Yes, I did. I swear to God on my life. Do a lie detector test on me.
You know
I wish we did a lie detector test.
I don't really care. You need to face yourself in the mirror. Because you know what? There's nobody else you're fooling here.
Okay.
This is not about anybody else.
You're ridiculous.
This is about no.
This is about Chris.
You're right, it is. You're
Who hated you, by the way?
You have a lot to face up to, and the one thing is,
you guys are psychotic. You need to be in a ward.
It's very sad.
It's just pathetic.
So you're a doctor. You can diagnose people.
No, this is a doctor. So let him do something.
Your father cannot cover you.
And I can.
Thank you.
And I'm curious what you have to say about all of this. I don't think you're nothing. I think you're this girl's father, and I think that you have a vested interest here because your daughter is under attack, and I want to know what you have to say.
I want to start this night from the time they went to dinner. When Chris was already sick prior to going out to dinner and told them that he was sick, and not that he went home and they all of a sudden smoked all his dope and died.
Let's start the story from the beginning of the trip.
Here, let me tell it, because I have
Whose car was not safe enough to even drive to college? Who I had to send my son...
She goes to college 2 miles away from our house.
$2,000 to my son to get her, put new tires, new brakes, new struts in her car.
Yeah,
because it was unsafe.
Okay, hold on, let me
help.
Yeah.
I didn't want to see any harm come to you.
And you say that Chris was with me all the time, that's because he loved me.
And I didn't want to see any harm come to you. That's why I brought...
Then why are you doing this to me? Then why are you doing this to me?
You brought this up.
No, yeah.
You made the accusations, is why we're here today. I've never contacted you. I haven't seen you for 17 months. You didn't show up to the funeral. You didn't show up to the wake.
Tell me what your goal is in being here with her. What is it you want to achieve here?
I am here basically in defense. She's put me in a defensive position where she's accusing me of being a psychotic, a murderer, and things of that nature, when the fact is, I lost my son. My son is gone forever. Her life is the same. Her father's life is the same.
Really? My life is the same? You have no idea.
They didn't lose anybody.
Really?
I lost my son.
All right, we're going to take a break, and we're going to meet one of Chris's childhood friends who says Chris had a secret that ultimately cost him his life. We'll be right back.
Tony is a big, phony drama queen. She's a crazy nut that is controlling and bitchy. I did not tell Tony to come to our house and do drugs. I want Tony to wake up to the full reality of her actions. This is a serious thing.
I think Rick is a pathological liar. I absolutely believe that Rick knows exactly what happened, but it was apparent that they were making a smokescreen to block any kind of contact with them, and they were trying to make me look like a horrible person. Rick called New York State Police and made up a story that I was a dangerous sniper from the Marine Corps, and that he felt that I was coming to shoot them. This was a false police report. This is a crime. This is a felony.
Well, Bob says he is convinced that Rick knows what really happened to his son and is using every tactic he can think of to cover up for his daughter. But Rick says Bob is the one who is 100% capable of murder, not Tony. Well, Chris's childhood friend, Hans, says that he told him something that may be the key to unlock the mystery of what really happened that fatal night. So Hans is joining us via Polycom.
Since Chris was younger, he had surgeries on his shoulder, on his knee. I know for a fact he had taken his father's medication before, without Bob knowing, I believe.
I know.
And basically, what I need people to understand is, people aren't looking at Chris. Chris could not work because of his back pain, did not have a job. He did not have a place to stay other than his grandmother's house. At 20 years old, all your friends are in college. Everyone has a direction to go. He had nowhere to go. I believe Chris was depressed. I believe he was in a lot of pain. And meeting his new stepmother put a lot of stress on him.
Are you saying that you believe that this could have been a suicide?
No, I believe that Chris was using pain medication because he was depressed, because he was stressed out. Whatever happened, it was an accident.
And you told Bob that Chris was stealing his pain meds?
Yes.
Okay. And how did Bob react?
I also told him at the same conversation that he had been smoking marijuana And he assumed that that had led to tons of other drugs or things that Chris might have gotten into.
Was he doing any kind of drugs, either marijuana or pain meds, before he met Tony?
He was smoking marijuana, and Chris was always a party animal.
What do y'all say about that? Because that kind of runs right in the face of your assessments of Tony's influence here. What we're hearing is a friend here that doesn't have a horse in the race, that's known him since 7th grade, that says he was a party animal, he was smoking dope in high school, he was stealing your pain meds.
I believe Hans wholeheartedly. I believe everything that comes out of Hans's mouth. I don't think he would mislead anybody on anything. Hans told me about this. This was probably 9 months after my son passed away. I was never aware that he took any of my pain medication.
Is this inconsistent with you saying that she introduced him to this, that he became a party animal because of her, he was smoking marijuana because of her?
Party animal is different from what the allegation that, you know, I'm saying that she turned him into a party animal is completely different from the fact that when she brought him into the college world and a portion of his life that I was unaware of, which became apparent to me as a parent once he got involved with Tony.
We're going to take a break. Sally says Tony will end up killing someone else.
Really?
We're going to find out why Rick was scared to come to L.A. and face Bob for the first time since Chris's death. We'll be right back.
Sally's a fake, controlling person. I could literally rip her hair out. I hate her.
Look, I've got to say some things here, or I'm not going to feel good about how we've spent this time here. You've heard me say a lot of things. One thing you have not heard me say is I know how you feel. Because if you haven't been through the loss that you've been through, you just simply can't know. So I don't know how you feel, and maybe that's a good thing, because maybe it's good to talk to somebody that has a different perspective or some different objectivity about it. I think you guys, in your pain, are demonizing Tony here. And, you know, I wasn't there, and I don't know what happened. What I do know is that we have a young man here that looks to me and sounds to me to have been a very fine young man and had challenges that he was facing physically, and like a lot of kids that age, probably made some decisions and choices that were not the best. I know that he died of an acute fentanyl overdose, and his dad was on fentanyl. And he was in his dad's house, and there was fentanyl in the house. You know as well as I do that to juxtapose him to those drugs, whether he got them out of the garbage outside or who knows where he got them.
But he got it off the street, because he didn't get it out of my prescription, because my prescriptions were untouched.
And I think you would know if he had. And this looks to me to be very, very likely an accidental overdose by a kid that got ambushed with a drug that he didn't understand the potency of. And I mean, it's killing people all over the country the same way. And I think this was a tragic accident. And I hate that that is what happened, but I do think that's what happened. I certainly don't think I have seen anything. And listen, I've evaluated serial killers. I've evaluated, you know, passion killers in marriages and relationships and families in every possible way. And I can tell you, I don't see this murderous complex of characteristics in this young woman that would be necessary to hatch this kind of a plan. So I think you are brokenhearted, and I think you are angry, and I think you are experiencing a rage that comes with grief. And I think this is a target because she was not perceived by you to support your son's relationship with you. And I think that colors the filter through which you look. And I have a critical question to ask everybody here that I think will bring some real light to this situation. I'm going to do it right after the break. I said I had a critical question to ask everyone. Before I do, Hans, I'm describing what I think happened here. What do you think about what I'm saying, and what would you have to add to that?
I agree. I think it's a really awful accident, and I think that both these parties are overcome with grief, and they were angry, and they lashed out at each other, and it's just unfortunate because I know Chris wouldn't have wanted this.
Well, I did not know Chris. I'm sorry that I never had the privilege of meeting him. I think he was very fortunate to have you as a friend, and I think this family is very fortunate to have you as a friend. Hans really got to the heart of the matter in the last comment that he made, because the question that I have, that we all have to ask, is what would Chris want right now?
I know it's easier for you to see, like, that he lost his son, but Chris is my best friend. I know he would not have wanted this to happen after he died.
What would Chris want, Bob?
I think that he would want all these false accusations to stop. Nothing will bring my son back. This is something I had to come to grips with immediately.
I thought about this a lot last night, that if I were in your shoes and I was taking a drug and had a drug in the house that ultimately killed my son, I would feel like maybe I'd spend a lot of the rest of my life second-guessing myself and wondering if unintentionally or some way I had contributed to his loss.
I've thought about it countless times.
I really, really hope that you give yourself some peace about that and celebrate all the days of his life, not the moment that he died. I hope you'll try and choose some peace in this. All right, we've got to stop. Thanks for being here so long.